We kick things off in Texas, where members of the Lufkin PD are handcuffing 33-year-old Tasha Faye Sponsler. After being put in the police cruiser, the handcuffed Sponsler manages to undo her seatbelt. And then, despite officers being near the vehicle, she pulls off a Vegas-level magic trick by, ta-da, wiggling her one hand out of her handcuffs. Sponsler remains calm, looks around, and makes sure the officers are adequately distracted before following up her previous trick with an even crazier encore.
God dang! Come on! Hey! God!
In the midst of Texas, where everyone's attention is focused on Tasha Faye Sponsler and the daring journey that she was on, the officers of the Lufkin Police Department have just finished properly handcuffing Sponsler and are about to load her into their cruiser when an unexpected event takes place. Sponsler first removes her seatbelt, which displays a remarkable level of dexterity, and then she removes her hand from the handcuffs. She makes sure to check around carefully to make sure the police are sufficiently distracted, yet despite this, she has nerves of steel. Then Sponsler plans an encore that is utterly mind-boggling to everyone and would be well at home in Las Vegas. This promises to be an exhilarating journey into a world of bold pranks and unexpected turns, and Tasha Faye Sponsler is set to star as the lead character in this episode.
Help!
As the stolen cruiser shoots back onto the main road, it narrowly misses a row of spike strips. But eventually, the chase comes to a dramatic end. After rejecting a plea deal that would have given her 16 years in prison, Sponsler got the jury trial she wanted. Unfortunately for her, after being found guilty, she was sentenced to a staggering 45 years in prison.
As the stolen cruiser drove back to the main road and narrowly skirted a series of spike strips, the officers who were after it launched into a frenzy of pursuit. The amount of stress that was being endured became increasingly severe with each passing second. The desperate circumstances that the fugitive was in caused her to make a choice that would have severe repercussions. Sponsler was offered a plea bargain that would have reduced the maximum term she faced to 16 years, but she chose to take her chances in a jury trial instead. Her run of good luck had finally come to an end. The judge came to the conclusion that she was responsible for the crime and then stunned everyone in the courtroom by imposing a sentence of 45 years in jail on her. After the spectacular chase was over, Sponsler was left with the sobering awareness that she still had a long and challenging road ahead.
It's 1:15 p.m. at the Ready Mart in Spruce Grove, Edmonton. And this man, 28-year-old Richard Parasow, has just been caught trying to buy a can of soda with a stolen credit card. Police have been called in to arrest the man, but he's not going quietly. After throwing his girlfriend, Brittany Burke, more on her in a minute, onto the officer and tangling with the store's owner, creating an impromptu game of Twister, he breaks free. He takes off towards the back of the store with no shirt and no plan. As the officer takes aim with a taser, Parasow grabs a weapon of his own, a bag of salty snacks. Realizing he's outgunned, he drops to the ground. The officer shows restraint as Brittany Burke approaches near the Pringles. After telling her to stay back, the officer calls for backup. And that's when Parasow makes at least his fourth terrible decision of the day and is pumped full of 50,000 volts. Meanwhile, with the entrance blocked by the owner, Brittany, the real star of this video, makes her move to the back of the store. Instead of trying the back door, she takes another, more daring route. After blowing absolutely any chance of anonymity right here, she crawls past the dusty Christmas decorations and heads for the ductwork and potential freedom. A seemingly good plan until it isn't. After using aisle 5 to break her fall, Burke miraculously walks away and finally decides to surrender. Backup arrives and both Parasau and Burke are arrested. As the store's owners pick up the pieces of their ceiling, Parasau and Burke picked up 11 charges, including using a stolen credit card, resisting arrest, and assaulting a police officer.
Disarray broke out in the Spruce Grove, Edmonton location of Ready Mart around 1:15. The 28-year-old Richard Parasau was apprehended while attempting to use a fraudulent credit card to buy a Coke. When the police arrived to arrest him, he caused a commotion by throwing his girlfriend, Brittany Burke, who would turn out to be quite the character in her own right, at one of them. The shopkeeper got caught up in the confusion, and before long they had an impromptu game of Twister on their hands. Parasau stripped off his shirt and made a hasty retreat to the store's rear. Parasau dodged the officer's taser by brandishing a bag of salty snacks. Being aware of his inferiority, he wisely lowered himself to the earth. Brittany Burke, meantime, made her move, silently slinking past dusty Christmas ornaments and into the ducts. In aisle 5, her audacious plot to flee backfired as she smashed through a ceiling tile. When reinforcements arrived, Parasau and Burke were arrested and the store's owners were left to pick up the pieces. Parasau was hit with a whopping 11 offenses, including theft, assault, and resisting arrest.
Taking a more straightforward approach is the alleged suspect caught on camera in this next video released by the NYPD. As she approaches the cashier at this Burger King in the Grand Concourse section of the Bronx, there seems to be nothing out of the ordinary about this customer until she dives across the counter and takes a stab at the open cash register, swiping $250. Going above and beyond the call of duty, additional staff step in. But they don't have the suspect for long. She slides across the counter and makes her way towards the door with no sense of urgency, and with good reason, as she's yet to be caught. But for the staff of this Burger King, they get a moral victory for making sure the suspect walked out both hungry and empty-handed.
When the officer from the New York Police Department approached the cashier at the Burger King located in the Grand Concourse neighborhood of the Bronx, it seemed as though the woman was merely another customer. In a sudden and unanticipated change of events, however, she leapt over the counter and made a vain attempt to get her hands on the open cash register. She accomplished an extraordinary feat for a would-be thief by stealing $250 in a single fast action, going above and beyond the call of duty for a thief. The situation was swiftly brought under control by additional members of the crew, but their efforts to capture the culprit were unsuccessful. She slid back over the counter with astonishing dexterity and then casually sauntered towards the exit, making no indication that she was in any rush. It was probably a little success for the personnel at Burger King when they made sure the suspect left the restaurant hungry and without any of his belongings.
Finally, we're in Lamar, Arkansas, where police are in pursuit of a truck and trailer reportedly stolen by the owner just 10 minutes earlier. An even bigger problem, the vehicle's owner says there's several loaded guns inside the truck. With little progress being made 10 miles into the chase, a police unit is stationed near an on-ramp, about to deploy a spike strip, hopefully disabling the vehicle.
Spikes deployed, they got him. There's an icebox out the back.
The spike strips are successful, sending a mini freezer flying, but the truck keeps going.
Looks like we got a front driver's side tire, 68 miles an hour, westbound.
Then, 2 miles further down the highway,
He's on the rim. He's about to come to a stop here soon. Just before the Franklin. We're pulling over in the shoulder just before Franklin County.
Before the officer can get his car in park, the truck door swings open. It's the moment of truth for this pursuing officer. As the driver exits, they could be concealing a weapon, or not concealing anything at all.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
The driver who just led police on a dangerous high-speed chase is, in fact, a woman wearing nothing but a pair of sunglasses and who knows what on her head.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Police tackle the woman and place her under arrest. The suspect, later identified as 48-year-old Deidre Lewis, was charged with aggravated assault, theft, reckless driving, and fleeing.
Whew.
They had followed the track of the stolen truck and the trailer all the way to Lamar, Arkansas. 10 minutes after reporting the theft, the owner revealed a more pressing concern. He said that the stolen vehicle contained loaded firearms. Tensions were high when a police team waited at an on-ramp and got ready to use a spike strip after a 10-mile chase. Success! A small freezer was launched into the air by the strip, but the truck kept on. However, at 68 miles in, the front driver's side tire gave out, and by the time they got another 2 miles down the road, the truck was on its last legs. The cop had his opportunity to act. The truck pulled over to the side of the road in Franklin County, and as the pursuing police officer approached, the door suddenly opened. When the driver finally emerged, everyone knew for sure if she was hiding a weapon or not. The fast command came, "Get on the ground, get down here." It was then revealed that the woman behind the wheel during the high-stakes police pursuit had been wearing only sunglasses and a peculiar headpiece. Officers swarmed in and arrested the culprit, a 48-year-old woman named Deidre Lewis, who was charged with aggravated assault, theft, reckless driving, and eluding police.
Scandals always blow up on the internet, and this specific one might blow your mind. This is the story of Meghan Hall, a female police officer from a small U.S. police station in Tennessee who allegedly slept with 6 male officers from the same department. Who is Meghan Hall, and why was she accused of having affairs with 6 of her fellow co-workers? Let's dive into the story and see what happened.
Toxic workplace behind closed doors and how sexual misconduct spiraled out of control.
All of social media was baffled when the news of a female police officer from a small police station in La Vergne, Tennessee, USA, came to the forefront. She was accused of having an affair with her co-worker. Not 1 or 2, but 6 co-workers. How did the news come out? Who ratted her out? Hall's deed was all over the internet, and she literally became a small celebrity overnight. However, not for good reasons. Meghan, who had always wanted to become an actress from her childhood, unfortunately ended up being a police officer, and that's how her world started to fall apart. Meghan met Jedediah Hall and fell in love with him. He was the son of a local pastor. The two got married in the year 2018. As her acting career was a long-lost dream, she decided to join the La Vergne Police Department in Tennessee, and her husband, Jed, became a park ranger. Both of them seemed to be having a good time and were a perfect couple that everyone envied. There were many pictures of them sharing smiles and being deeply in love with one another. But remember how the saying goes, appearances are deceptive. However, Meghan later revealed that she and her husband, Jed, were having some serious issues in their marriage. These marital issues were exactly what paved the way for the events that followed. As Meghan was not satisfied with her marriage, she decided to do things the way she liked and have some fun on the way. However, her road to fun led her to get involved in some seriously questionable acts. Meghan and her co-workers engaged in some spicy sessions within the confines of the police department, and these included patrol officers Juan Lugo Perez, Louis Powell, Detective Seneca Shields, and Sergeant Henry T. McGowan, who were all fired from their positions along with Meghan. However, there were more officers involved, which included Patrick Magliacco, Larry Holliday, and Gavin Showborough, who got suspended after the investigation. It didn't take much time for the whole world to know about the ordeal. Not only was Meghan accused of wild sexual misconduct, but also having steamy romps with the 6 male officers, which included illicit on-duty liaison. On December 122, 2022, The police department received a shocking complaint. Thanks to a whistleblower, the mayor Jason Cole had found out that there were some serious things going on in his town's police department. An unknown person had ratted Megan out and her sexcapades with her fellow officers, and these acts happened not only at hotels, motels, and boat parties, but also while on duty. These officers who were supposed to be serving the society and their nation. The head of human resources of the La Verne Police Department, Andrew Patton, investigated into this scandal, who revealed some shocking detail. Megan and her husband were on the verge of filing for a divorce and were on the way to solving their problems before Megan's scandalous activities came to everybody's notice. Megan had tricked the officers into thinking that she was in an open relationship with Jed, which was totally a big fat lie. Officer McGowan, who is seemingly the whistleblower to the mayor, had a meeting with Hall and Jed when she had joined the police force initially. Things got out of hand while at McGowan's house. Megan and the officer's wife stripped off their clothes while they played strip on Uno. Paul was allegedly trying to get Jed to go with the flow, however. Jed was really upset with all the things that were unfolding. He did not want himself to be persuaded, but despite his feelings, Megan and McGowan reportedly made out. The officer even sent pictures of his genitals to Megan. McGowan, being the whistleblower, denied having any affairs with Megan despite all the evidence and was fired for lying during the investigation. Patrick Magliacco, another one of the officers, admitted that he had been with Hall on various occasions. He also revealed that his wife Amy and Megan made out after learning that Megan and her husband had an open marriage. According to his testimony, he and his wife Amy had been in an open relationship with Megan since the spring of 2022. There was a time when Jedediah had walked in on Megan and Amy making out. They even tried to get Jed into a wife-swapping session. Jedediah, disgusted at what he had seen, departed the room and was quite uncomfortable with the whole situation, because how could a sane married man be into something like this? However, this is just the beginning. The wildest part of the whole ordeal took place on Memorial Day when all the officers in the department were invited to a Girls Gone Wild hot tub party, which was hosted by an officer called Stats on a boat that he owned. Some officers even came with their whole family, which even included their underage children. According to another officer named Durham, in an isolated incident, Magliacco was forcing vodka down Hall's throat, and then suddenly Hall took her top off, and seeing this, stay-ats jumped at Hall and stopped her from drinking and covered her up in order to protect Hall. Both stay-ats and Durham never had any illicit relationship with Hall's, or so they claimed. Hall even fell down a flight of stairs at the party before having intercourse with Magliacco. According to Magliacco, Hall was prone to drinking, claiming that she once had even driven home after being drunk at his house party. Magliacco claimed that Hall was prone to self-harm and that she shouldn't be left alone. Hall even pointed an empty gun to her head and pulled the trigger so that she could hear what it sounded like. Hall was quite open about the relationship she had with the K-9 officer Larry Holliday in the first interview. However, she claimed that her steamy sessions with Holliday happened a long time ago. Holliday claimed that he had once invited Hall and other officers to his home to watch the football game. There was some serious drinking involved, and talks broke out about having a threesome between Holliday, Hall, and Holliday's ex-girlfriend. However, he claimed that nothing happened at the party. However, he later came clean about his sexual encounters with Hall, often booking hotel rooms for their liaison. Though she denied many of the allegations initially, she later confessed that she had often sent nude images of her to many officers on duty, including McGowan, to whom she sent her feet pictures. Megan, on the other hand, broke her silence on the issue after being fired due to the scandal that had come to the notice of the officials. Hall said that she was terrorized into having intercourse with her superiors, who sexually harassed her frequently. She revealed that she felt sexually groomed. She filed a lawsuit where she named some high-profile police officers from the La Verne Police Department and accused them of having taken advantage of her troubled marriage. Her 51-page lawsuit stressed that what happened with her is not rape. Instead, it was a situation where she had to give in from the pressure. Hall's lawyer, Wesley Clark, said that Megan wasn't looked at like a rookie cop to be trained and promoted, but like a piece of meat to be sexualized and exploited. Hall said, "I know what most people are saying. You know, you could have said no. I get it. But my response to them is I did say no, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. Paul was not in a good mental state and was vulnerable, and the officers took advantage of her situation and used it for their personal gain and satisfying their sexual need. Paul later stated, "I got stupid, I got desperate, and guys are guys and they'll stick their thing in anything." The most shocking part of this whole ordeal is that Paul's husband said that he would stay with his infidel wife even though he knows what wrong she had committed. What do you think of this? Was dismissing all the officers involved an appropriate punishment? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that bell icon, subscribe to our channel. We will be back with more updates.